has taken over. Let's go. It's Ferrall. Coast to coast. Steaks, chicks, stacks. You and I are going to make a lot of money. It's Ferrall, coast to coast.
And we are back. Hour number 3, Ferrall coast to coast on a Wednesday. Carver High and Joe Lisi in for Scotty on SportsGrid and SportsGrid Radio. Great to have everybody with us here today. Of course, on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, you get the extended version of the very popular SportsGrid radio show, Carver and Lisi, which airs tonight and every weeknight at 8 p.m. East, myself and Joe. So thanks for being here with us today. Joe, we have a lot to accomplish this hour. Specifically, we will start, though, with the NBA. I haven't had enough golf, by the way. Just because I had Cam last hour doesn't mean I'm not done, because we're going to have Keith Stewart from Read the Line coming up next segment. We'll get his thoughts and his picks for the Century Tournament of Champions out in Kapalua, which tees off tomorrow. Very exciting, Joe, as you know. Joe knows I'm very pumped for the golf to be back. I'll probably even at least do like 2 segments of it tonight on the radio show as well, Joe. So get yourself ready.
2? Like 2 seconds? Are you kidding me?
I'm kidding, Joe. Kidding about that. And we'll have Coach later this hour as well for the NBA. Let's see what me and Joe like in the NBA first for tonight, because it's a very heavy slate, Joe. Lots of games for us. Washington is in Cleveland against the Cavaliers tonight. Cavs -9.5. 239.5 is the total.
I'm going to go with the Cavs, but is Donovan Mitchell playing tonight?
Yes. Donovan Mitchell will be out there. He's out there for
I'm going to alt him. Give me an alt, 35 plus
40.
for Mitchell.
Why don't you just you're as greedy as it gets. Why don't you just go for 40?
He's been very inconsistent this year. This is an opportunity. Washington plays no defense. Even I know that. Come on.
Go ahead. Do what you want to do.
How about 5 threes? 5 threes for Mitchell.
5 threes. We won't get as juicy a price for that, but go ahead. Get yourself for 5 threes there. Welcome in all of our radio.
35 points.
Welcome in all the radio affiliates for Coast to Coast on a Wednesday. Carver High and Joe for Scotty. SportsGrid Radio, Sirius XM, Channel 159 and Sports Byline. Great to have everybody with us. Milwaukee and Indiana are going to play. I made the joke earlier. I think it's the 95th time this year that Milwaukee and Indiana are going to get together. Bucks -3.5 on the road here. 257.5 is the heavy total. Pacers beat them the other night, Joe. These teams, like we said, they've played a lot. Pacers beat them in Vegas at the in-season tournament. Bucks beat them in Milwaukee that night where he set the franchise record and they stole the ball from him. Pacers beat them the other night in Milwaukee. And all these totals, Joe, in the high 250s.
Yes, sold on the total. This game's going to be played in like the 220s, 230s. Going to be all Bucks.
Blue-collar game, huh?
Blue-collar game. Smashing the boards. Don't get anybody on points. Just get bounds. Bounds, bounds, and bounds. Rebounds, rebounds, rebounds.
The Thunder, who are 23-9 after beating the Celtics last night at home, now play a back-to-back on the road. They go to Atlanta. Hawks have been bad. As we know, they're the worst team against the number, too, as we just showed you last hour. Thunder only -1.5. 248.5. Another very healthy total.
Yeah, this one I see clearly, Carver. Give me Atlanta on the money line, minor upset, and is Young playing?
I see what you're doing. You're doing one of those. Everyone zigging, I'm gonna zag. You're doing one of those tonight, huh?
This is now that we put out best records, ATS, worst records, ATS. Atlanta sucks. OKC, great. Give me Atlanta upset special.
Ooh,
this
upset
is the dual
special
catalytic converter. NBA Wednesday play of the year.
I'm on the over 248.5. I'm not getting involved.
All right, hero.
In the
okay,
whatsoever.
Hero. You're afraid, don't you?
I am afraid, actually, to be quite honest with you. I don't want anything to do with the 1.5. The Nets got embarrassed in New Orleans last night. They'll try again tonight, back-to-back in Houston against the Rockets. Rockets -4.5, 221.5 is the total. I mean, they got to play better than they did last night, Joe. I mean, they got their bell rung in New Orleans against the Pelicans.
I don't like it. No momentum, no continuity. Give me Houston in a rout.
Houston in a rout, Joe says. Some bad basketball for the Nets right now. Raptors are in Memphis against the Grizzlies. Grizzlies minus 1.5, 227.5, the total here.
Yeah, now that they're minus 1.5 from an 11.5-point spread against the Spurs, now against Toronto, we are the North. Is that their motto? That's what it is. I'm laying it.
Yes.
I'm going to lay it.
That's
Ja,
their motto.
Big night for Ja. I'm going to lay it. Is he playing?
Yes, he's playing, Joe. I believe he is. I will double check that, but Josh should be in. I'm on the under, Joe. I'm on the under 227.5 for that game. The Pelicans, after the win last night, we mentioned about the Nets. Tonight, they are in Minnesota against the Timberwolves. Right now, T-Wolves minus 5.5. T-Wolves been great, 24-8. 221.5 the total.
Yeah, this one's tough because, Edwards is my guy. I always back him. He's a dog. But I love the Pelicans. They're catching points, right? I love the Pelicans in this ballgame. Here's the other thing, too. I'm not going with Herb Jones tonight. I'm going with my guy, Valanciunas. Okay? Valanciunas.
Well, what are you doing with him?
Tonight.
Boards.
Oh, honey,
Boards
take my scarf and my Skechers. I got a big game against the T-Wolves tonight. All right? I got to go ball out. I'm going to grab some rebounds. Valanciunas. Can't you see him wearing a scarf and a smoking jacket along with his Skechers? That's just, that's what Valanciunas is.
Where do the Skechers fit in to that scenario?
He's got I don't size 20 foot. You ever see the shoes? He doesn't wear Nike. He doesn't wear Adidas. He's like wears no-name brand sneakers. Give me the Skechers. Guy's running around on an NBA court with Skechers.
My head is spinning right now.
He's going to
Bulls,
DSW for his sneakers.
I can't. The Bulls lost in Philly last night. Tonight they are at the Garden against the Knicks. Knicks minus 8.5, 220.5 the total here.
I told you I'm all in on the Bulls money line. This is a game where they're going to ball out. New York, MSG, big game for Kobe White tonight. I think he struggled last night, didn't he? I'm jumping on Kobe White threes. Why are you laughing? It's a beautiful moment.
You attach to these guys now. Now you're hitching your wagon to Kobe White. That's your next guy. You're attaching your wagon to him now. He's next.
Oh no, he struggled last night. I told you he was 0 for 4 in his first 4 shots.
What was he after that?
I don't know.
What was he after that?
What did he finish with from threes?
Do you want me to tell you?
Yeah.
You sure you want to know?
Yes.
He finished 0 for 5 from 3, 14 points.
I told you.
He did nothing last night.
All right.
He did nothing
I know my
last
stats.
night.
I know my stats.
All right, we'll do. Let's slide this in fast. Portland's in Dallas against the Mavs. 11.5, 238.5. I'm laying the 11.5 with the Mavs.
I'm gonna lay it. Luka, big night. Everybody, he eats in a big way. Alt 40, 45.
A big way. Alt. All right, Joe. We'll come back. I got a couple other. Actually, I have Keith Stewart next. We're gonna do more golf because I'm not done with the Century Tournament of Champions. We'll do the rest of the hoops later, Joe. Ferrall Coast to Coast on a Wednesday. We're back after this.
Quarterback at quarterback. We're going to lay some juice. We're going to have some dog prices, and we're going to go right in the middle.
Because I don't know what they're doing. To me, they're in a complete rebuild, Kev.
Go run. That's where overbackers on this 51.5 shot.
So right now, he's a little bit more over money, but it's hovering right around.
The winner of this game will be the division favorite.
I don't care if they win because all we care about is the money, baby, the money.
Pro Football Today. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid. The Bostonian versus the book.
56% is really good. Anything close to 60 is retirement level stuff. So there's way more people on the lower side of that. You have to learn how to manage that. This is a game of give and take. Or come in quick and hit them and get out.
The Bostonian versus the Book.
We spent all offseason where the NFL said, hey, just so you guys know, running backs don't matter. If we then this year give the MVP to a running back, the irony. I am disappointed that they lost to FAU because secretly I don't really like this FAU team very much. I don't know. They're just not for me. And now they've completely legitimized the Owls.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
North Carolina, we've got new sports books operating for licenses. And, you know, a lot of news always coming out of there. One of the fresh sports betting states.
Well, they're a little behind the ball there, so I don't know if they'll be at the starting line in North Carolina. But yeah, a really interesting mix of applicants this early on so far.
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid. SportsGrid. Your 24/7 sports wagering network. Fantasy sports today.
They were saying there's no way he could not possibly do this. He won't hold out.
Pro League Soccer powered by Marca.
Scoring teams in the league. They have 80 goals so far.
College football today.
The Hawks team total in the first half is 0.5.
Pro football today.
Interesting props in this game, but I would be cautious laying this number here with the Houston Texans.
In-game live all access.
In the NFC in terms of these wild cards and in terms of the playoff picture.
In-game live, prime time.
Rich, I don't know, man. This has just been one of those games that doesn't make a lick of sense.
In-game live, overtime.
You want to give you over 3-1 on a pretty good team. It's hard not to take some flyers.
Football full circle.
Well, NFL officials stink. They always will stink, and they'll always ruin the game. You know, that's just part of what it is.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
And we are back. Ferrall coast to coast on a Wednesday. Carver High in for Scotty here on SportsGrid and SportsGrid Radio. Great to have everybody with us here today. As I've told you several times today, I'm very excited because the PGA Tour is back tomorrow in Hawaii at Kapalua for the Century Tournament of Champions. So I have to have as much golf as possible. And I'm very excited that every Wednesday I'm going to have Keith Stewart with me from Read the Line to also go over this week's PGA Tour event. Keith, Happy New Year in more ways than one. Happy New Year just in general. Happy New Year for the golf season.
Carver, aloha. Let's get started. Let's not waste a second not talking about golf, baby. It's time to bet on golf. 2 weeks is too many weeks off. I tried to bet on the parent-child. They wouldn't let me. I am back. 2024. The slate is clean. No receipts, no slips. Let's go.
I'm upset that they wouldn't let me bet on the PNC either, Keith. I didn't like that either. Yeah, let's get involved with the parents and the kids out there. Let's start with this one. Of course, we have a limited field here, only 59 golfers as usual. A shorter field for the Tournament of Champions. A lot of names in here. You got all the guys who won last year, guys that qualified now with all the points that they get. I want to start with your outrights because you have a guy at the top of your board that's also on mine because, Keith, Colin Morikawa owes us from last year. I had Colin Morikawa last year at the Tournament of Champions. It looked like he was breezing to a victory, which would have been a great way to start the year. And then he crumbled on the back nine on Sunday and let John Rahm storm ahead and steal it from him, Keith. I'm upset.
You know, a lot of people, Carver, would say that we're crazy for going down this road again. But this golf course, and we talked about it yesterday on the early line, is just so perfectly suited to Morikawa's game. There's no doubt the change in coach to Mark Blackburn in the fall. He gets the Zozo win. He shows up, looked pretty solid at the Hero a month ago. And you know that he's motivated and working. And so many times this time of year, I'm combing social media looking to see who's working on their game, who's not. You know that Morikawa is so motivated coming into 2024 at a place that totally suits his wedge game and his long approach game. He's probably the only guy in the field that can keep up with Scheffler with an iron in his hand. So you got to love him. The revenge factor is high. Let's go Morikawa all day. And, of course, hey, how about a little Fitzpatrick too? There's another guy. he doesn't take any time off. He records every shot that he takes in practice rounds and tournament rounds, Carver. Imagine every show you did, you recorded notes for all of them. I mean, this guy's so OCD. You got to love betting him. And then right there, long shots don't do great here, but Cam Davis, let's talk about it.
Yeah, long shots don't do great here. That's for sure. I was reading earlier, Keith, that I think, 11 of the last 12 were under 27-1 or something like that when they won this tournament. So I understand that aspect of it, but I love deep shots too. You've got one with Cam Davis. He's on your prop card as well to be the top Australian golfer this week. There's a few guys that I think are worth that shot, whether it's Davis. I'm throwing one at Hoagie because he played well here last year and he's such an enormous price in the 150 range. So I think with 59 golfers, Keith, we could take shots like that.
Well, you mentioned Tournament of Champions earlier, but this is now a little bit of a different event. If you qualified with a win last year or you were top 50 in the FedEx Cup points at the end of the season, you're in. So that's why the field isn't high 30s anymore. We're talking 60 guys. So we're deeper. I think you can take a shot on your card with one guy that's above 50-1. And Davis is my guy because you know what? 6 times in the last 20 years, Australians have won this thing and they've played good there otherwise. Adam Scott, Jason Day, they've all got a decent history there. And I think it's because maybe not the Coriolis effect, but you know what? It's summer down there right now. So these guys are coming off perfect practice sessions. They went home for the holidays. They feel good about themselves. They roll right into, they only got to go halfway across the ocean. I think Cam Davis is a great play. And that low Australian, it's just he and Jason Day. And I think head to head, he's a better wedge player. I love his power game. I don't like Day's new outfits. I do like Cam. I mean, all fall, he had 7 top 10s, since July. I mean, come on, what are we talking about? This guy's killing it.
And just 2 years ago, you had an Australian in Cameron Smith who jump-started a massive 2022 by winning here at the Tournament of Champions. So maybe Davis can do the same thing. Let's talk about Scotty Scheffler. He is the chalk this week, as he should be. We know that. Scotty is unbelievable. I don't like playing guys who are 5-1 or 6-1 to win with 4 rounds of golf left to go, but there are other ways to play him, Keith.
There definitely is. I don't like him as a first-round leader as well. A guy that's that good, number 1 in the world. He knows how to build through a tournament and go all 4 rounds. Obviously, there's no cut this week. It's the Century out there in Kapalua. Why would we send him to Hawaii and then send him home in 2 days, right? Scheffler, over the weekend, though, is going to get dangerous. I'm going to live bet him like you wouldn't believe. I'm hoping for a bad first 9 holes on Thursday, and that number climbs from 5-1, almost maybe to 10-1, because there's a rabbit that gets out there early and shoots a very nice low score ahead of him. I mean, that's the way you got to look at Scotty Scheffler. A lot of people last year, we talked about how bad he was with the putter. This was Scheffler's best putting performance statistically of the entire 2023 season. So if that bodes well again, I tell you what, people are in big trouble with Scheffler. We're going to have to find ways all through Q1 as we build up to the Masters to get creative. Low American, right? He's in the plus 3-1 range. You get him for a leader after the 3rd round. Let him build some momentum. You're going to get him in a 6-1 range. Those are the ways that you can add to that 5-1. And again, live bet him outright. Maybe Sunday morning there's an opportunity. He's 5 or 6 back on a golf course where we saw John Rahm shoot 10 under last year and come back and win.
And I think that also opens up to something else I was going to talk to you there, which is about this golf course and the live betting aspects of it. Me and you love live betting any tournament, but a tournament with 59 golfers with no cut, we're going to see some things potentially, not just in the outright market, but in the top 10 market, in the top 5s. They usually close those 20s off after it starts when the field is this low. But still, Keith, how are you going to approach live 59 golfer no-cut event?
Well, I tell you what, every day, like I do at Read the Line, we're going to be posting picks. And what I'm going to be looking for are the guys that are putting well, because that's the one statistic that seems to lead to winning more so than anything else. It's the one that's most strongly correlated to victory, right? After the last 10 years, the last 10 winners, on average, have gained over 4 strokes against the field with their flat stick. Largest greens on tour, a lot of undulations. Those are the guys. I'm going to be looking at the putting stats as we go day by day. The ball strikers, they'll be there, but the ones with the hot putters, I'm going head-to-heads. Those are the ones I'm going to have climb up to top 5, top 10s, and we're going to make as much money as we can over the weekend and just pray that Scotty gives us all a chance.
No doubt. And they have a heavy hitter group here the first 2 days. In prime time, I guess, the way it works out because of the time difference, Spieth, Scheffler, and Victor Hovland going out together on Thursday and Friday. Now, that's as good as it gets, Keith, to start off the year. Quickly, give me your other props. Top 20, we love Eric Cole here on Coast to Coast. He was very good to us last year, despite not getting in the winner's circle. I love the top 20.
Well, I'll tell you what, he won Rookie of the Year today. Scotty won Player of the Year. It was announced out at Century. The players voted mid-December, but Cole over Oberg won Rookie of the Year. His last 3 starts were all top 3 finishes. And you know that guy, he's a mini tour marvel. He played all of December. You know he did. So he's still going to be warm. I got him in the top 20. And then Finau wasn't great this summer and fall, especially with the putter. I already overstated the fact that you need the flat stick here. I think Sung Jae Im, he's got 3 straight top 13 finishes there. I got Im over Finau in a head-to-head just to start for the 4 rounds.
Keith, this is going to be very fun. Every Wednesday, you'll be with me here on Coast to Coast. Next week, we're going to stay in Hawaii. We've got the Sony. I don't know how many of these guys are staying. We'll find out on Friday when the full field list comes out. But, Keith, there it is, Keith. I love it. Let's cash some tickets here this opening weekend, Keith. I love it.
Receipts start this week at the Century. Let's do it, Carver. See you soon.
There it is, Keith Stewart. Read the line. He'll be with us every week here on Coast to Coast. We're back. We got more to do after this on the grid.
Quarterback at quarterback. We're going to lay some juice. We're going to have some dog prices, and we're going to go right in the middle.
Because I don't know what they're doing. To me, they're in a complete rebuild, Kev.
Go run. That's where overbackers on this 51.5 shot.
So right now, we saw a little bit more over money, but it's hovering right around.
The winner of this game will be the division
I
favorite.
don't care if they win because all we care about is the money, baby. The money.
Pro Football Today. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid. The Bostonian versus the Book.
56% is really good. Anything close to 60 is retirement level stuff. So there's way more people on the lower side of that. You have to learn how to manage that. This is a game of give and take. Or come in quick and hit them and get out.
The Bostonian versus the Book.
We spent all offseason where the NFL said, hey, just so you guys know, running backs don't matter. If we then this year give the MVP to a running back, the irony. I am disappointed that they lost to FAU because secretly I don't really like this FAU team very much. I don't know. They're just not for me. And now they've completely legitimized the Owls.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
North Carolina, we've got new sports books operating for licenses, and a lot of news always coming out of there. One of the fresh sports betting states.
Well, they're a little behind the ball there, so I don't know if they'll be at the starting line in North Carolina. But yeah, a really interesting mix of applicants this early on so far.
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid. SportsGrid. Your 24/7 sports wagering network. Fantasy sports today.
They were saying there's no way he could not possibly do this. He won't hold out.
Pro League Soccer powered by Marca.
Scoring teams in the league. They have 80 goals so far.
College football today.
The Hawks' team total in the first half is 0.5.
Pro Football Today.
Interesting props in this game, but I would be cautious laying this number here with the Houston Texans.
In-game live all
In the
access.
NFC in terms of these wild cards and in terms of the playoff picture.
In-game live, prime time.
Rich, I don't know, man. This has just been one of those games that doesn't make a lick of sense here.
In-game live, overtime.
You want to give the over 3-1 on a pretty good team. It's hard not to take some flyers.
Football full circle.
Well, NFL officials stink. They always will stink, and they'll always ruin the game. You know, that's just part of what it is.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
And we are back. Ferrall Coast to Coast on a Wednesday. Carver High and Joe Lisi in for Scotty on SportsGrid and SportsGrid Radio. BetMGM, they have you ready to go. $1,500 first bet offer. This is for all new BetMGM Sportsbook account users. You got to download the BetMGM Sportsbook app on iOS or Android or visit BetMGM.com. You got to sign up and use the bonus code SG1500 and deposit at least $10 into your BetMGM Sportsbook account. Place your first wager and receive up to $1,500 back in bonus bets. If the bet loses, if the bet does lose, your bonus bets will be available once your initial wager is settled. BetMGM's $1,500 first bet offer, bonus code SG1500. All right, Joe. Lot to do here. I got 4 NBA games left for you if there's anything that you like here on the card. The Clippers are in Phoenix tonight against the Suns. Clippers minus 4.5. 232.5 is the total. Of course, we're going to have Coach coming up next, too. I'm going to go through some of these games with him as well. Joe, can I interest you in the Suns as dogs at home tonight?
No, I'm taking the Clippers. Clippers and the over, Carver. How about that? On the road, give me the Clippers.
You know what? It seems like everyone's starting to sell Phoenix, Joe, so I'm going to buy. I'll take them with the 4.5 tonight at home against the Clippers.
Look,
I'm not a trader.
Low, selling high. Kids buying low. He's buying support.
Buy low tonight.
I love it.
Buy low.
Buy low.
The Pistons.
Buy low.
Pistons 3-30 now. Of course, they got back in the win column. What was that, last Saturday, Joe? I told you they were going to beat the Raptors at home. I said it. I said they were going to beat the Raptors at home.
You know I'm right. I said it.
You did say it. They're going to get 8.5 in Utah tonight against the Jazz. 240.5 is the total.
Let's take them. They're playing with house money now. How far down could they go?
3-30. What kind of house money is that? They're 3-30. There's no house money.
Carver, the cap is right. I like them plus the points. The cap
right.
is
You just try to work that in once a show if you can. The Heat are in Los Angeles against the Lakers. Lakers minus 5. You know the Lakers are now 17-17, Joe. They're a 500 basketball team through 34 games. 228. Oh, you got LeBron mania. You got AD, Hachimura, Reeves, D'Lo. Russell's not playing tonight either, by the way.
We talked about it. They won everything they tried to set out and accomplish. The mid-season tournament so they could hang the banner in the Raptors. That's all LeBron cared about. And now, like you said, they're going to name the trophy after him. That's great. Yeah. He doesn't care about an NBA championship anymore. It's the mid-season tournaments that he cares about.
Final game, Joe, is the Hornets who won. Excuse me, not the Hornets. The Hornets beat the Kings last night. The Kings are going to try again tonight against Orlando, who lost in Golden State to the Warriors. So both of these teams back-to-backs. The Magic are getting 4.5 in Sacramento. 231.5 is the total. I'm going to try it again, Joe. Up, and away. Over 231.5.
Let's alt it. I'm with you. Alt.
244, 249, 250. Let's go. Alt it up, Joe. Whatever you want to do.
That's it. I told you. Points. Buy high and sell high.
Yes. Points. There you go. NBA tonight. We will do more with Coach next segment before we get out of here on C2C. Monday is the national championship, Joe, in college football. We discussed it a lot yesterday. It is the last time you're going to be on Coast to Coast. I mean, you'll be everywhere else. It's the last time you're on Coast to Coast between now and Monday. So Michigan minus 4.5, 55.5 will be the total for this game. You've already kind of laid the breadcrumbs here that you are going to give everybody one more time, Joe. Maybe they weren't tuned in yesterday. What do you like for Monday night?
I like Washington, but you know what? Why take the 4.5? Let's just go outright. Give me the points with Penix outright. Total, I'm a little skeptical on the total, 55.5, because, you know, the more I think about it, I always say in a national championship game, you always want points. Even if Michigan does grind it out, they're probably going to – if Michigan wins, they're going to put up a 40 spot. I'll tell you that. If Washington wins, they're going to put up a 40 spot. So give me Washington and the over.
All right. Me and you were talking about some of the player props last night on the radio show. These are the 3 most bet player props so far. J.J. McCarthy over 190.5 passing yards. Corum over 101.5 rushing yards. And Penix over 297.5 passing yards. I was saying to you last night, I thought the McCarthy number seemed light because Washington might pull them into their game. It seems like, Joe, I'm not alone in that, thinking it's the most bet player prop.
Yeah, so I'm going to go a little bit sideways, okay? And the one player...
What a surprise.
The one player I like and I always say in national championship games, big games, you have to break tendency, because if you're a good coach, offense and defensively, you want to utilize players and options maybe you haven't utilized throughout the rest of the regular season. So the one under the radar player that I like happens to be Donovan Edwards. Big game, Donovan. Give me Donovan Edwards over his rushing total, and we'll alt him up into the high 80s or 90s.
And I'm sure some touchdowns too, Joe. You're going to get Edwards in for touchdowns as well. Might as well get him in the end zone. You know, play him for everything else. You might as well, right?
Well, I'll tell you what I do like, Carver, and I don't like Michael Penix with his passing. I like Michael Penix with his rushing, because if Michigan plays man-to-man coverage, and he showed an ability to do this in the last game when the game was on the line against Texas, he's not afraid to tuck it and run. He didn't score against Texas. So give me Donovan Edwards, give me Michael Penix rushing, and give me the tutty for Penix on the ground.
Most bet game props. You said it, Joe. I said it. Most bet game props. There is a few of these that I do like. Michigan to win by 1 to 6 points plus 375. Michigan to win and over 48.5 plus 120. Washington to score first at plus 110. Washington first team to 20 plus 140. Game goes to overtime plus 875. Those are the most bet game props that are out there.
Like that. I would take the over. Yeah, I think overtime. We almost got it in the semifinal playoff game last year, right? There were a couple of times we had it this year. With Alabama and Michigan, so you can never say never. The one bet I didn't say there: if you're gonna go big, go home. You gotta take Washington 7+. Nobody's gonna take that, so I'll alt that. If you like Washington, you alt them minus the 7.
Yeah, look, you're probably right, Joe. I'm just gonna go Washington straight up. I don't really want to get involved in the alting.
Come on, hero.
I know. Well, look, I'm in a tough spot because I'm in a similar situation that you were in at the Big 12 title game. You have a pretty good ticket on the dog, and although, look, I have a little bit more wiggle room than you did. I mean, they were 14-point dogs. You couldn't exactly go out and play Texas on the money line that day. I have a little bit more room where I could do that with Michigan if I wanted to. I'm not going to because I'm greedy, Joe, like you sometimes. And I'm going to wait and hope that Washington scores first. And then I could go and play Michigan.
Plus the points. Yeah. You're so greedy. You say it's me, but ultimately it's really you. You got more. I'm telling you, 18 loaves under each arm. He's got the bib out every Saturday and Sunday. You love to eat fat. You know that.
And, hopefully that continues with the golf starting, Cam. That's where I really like.
You're going to show me the charts? Look at my chart. Look at this. Look at what I did.
Did you like the chart for 2023 with the golf?
You
With
know
the golf
what? I'm
betting? Did
gutted
you like
for
that?
you
I
now.
sent
You know what? I'm going to start capping golf. I'll tell you what. You know what?
I hope
the fans
that'd
will
be
be
great
happy.
if you
I'm
did.
going
I
to
hope you
start
do
gunning
do
for
that.
you. I will.
That would be
I started
outstanding,
with the
Joe.
NBA. I'm a wheel. Doesn't matter. Wheel
You
special.
are a wheel with the NBA, Joe. There's no question. You've done a tremendous job with the NBA. We'll see if you can do that again tonight. There is college basketball tonight, Joe. I might not get through all the games right now, but you talk about being a wheel. You've really been that with the college.
Did Butler cover? Did Butler cover
No,
last night?
Butler got smoked by St. John's. Honestly, they got smoked. St. John, and you didn't stay up for that late night game. I got that cover with Colorado State against New Mexico, which was a very good late night game in the Mountain West, Joe, that you missed out on. So tonight, Seton Hall and Providence in the Big East, Louisville and Virginia, ACC action, Georgia Tech and FSU. Rutgers visits Ohio State tonight in the Big Ten with a short number, and Clemson and Miami, two teams off to pretty good starts. Clemson minus the 1.5 at home here tonight, Joe.
Well, I'm going to take your guy, Laurinaiga, plus the 1.5 on the money line. They're coming to South Beach. Let's roll, baby. Let's roll.
That is my guy.
Fast and loose.
Fast and loose, Joe. I like Miami tonight as well. I like Miami against Clemson, so I'm going to go there with you. The other ones, Joe, and I'll probably swing back to these at the end of the show. Xavier and Nova tonight. In Philly, Stanford and UCLA, Indiana and Nebraska. Cal plays USC tonight. And tonight's late night Mountain West special is Fresno State against San Diego State, Joe. So that's the late night special tonight in the Mountain West.
I'm going to lay it in that Fresno State, San Diego State game, and that's an under. San Diego State, they play great defense. They crash the boards, gutty team, blue collar.
15.5. 15.5 now for them.
I'm going to lay it.
You're going to lay it? I like Cal getting the 6.5 at USC tonight as well. USC has not been very good so far. Joe, we'll see you later on. I got Coach coming up next. Ferrall, Coast to Coast. We're back on the grid right after this.
Quarterback at quarterback. We're going to lay some juice. We're going to have some dog prices, and we're going to go right in the middle.
Because I don't know what they're doing. To me, they're in a complete rebuild, Kev.
Go run. That's where overbackers on this 51.5 shot.
So right now, he's a little bit more over money, but it's hovering right around.
The winner of this game will be the division favorite.
I don't care if they win, because all we care about is the money, baby, the money.
Pro Football Today. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid. The Bostonian versus the book.
56% is really good. Anything close to 60 is retirement level stuff. So there's way more people on the lower side of that. You have to learn how to manage that. This is a game of give and take. I mean, or come in quick and hit them and get out.
The Bostonian versus the book.
We spent all offseason where the NFL said, hey, just so you guys know, running backs don't matter. If we then this year give the MVP to a running back, the irony. I am disappointed that they lost to FAU because secretly I don't really like this FAU team very much. I don't know. They're just not for me. And now they've completely legitimized the Owls.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
North Carolina, we've got new sports books operating for licenses, and a lot of news always coming out of there. One of the fresh sports betting states.
Well, they're a little behind the ball there, so I don't know if they'll be at the starting line in North Carolina. But yeah, a really interesting mix of applicants this early on so far.
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid. SportsGrid. Your 24/7 sports wagering network. Fantasy Sports Today.
They were saying there's no way he could not possibly do this. He won't hold out.
Pro League Soccer powered by Marca.
Scoring teams in the league. They have 80 goals so far.
College Football Today.
The Hawks team total in the first half is 0.5.
Pro Football Today.
Interesting props in this game, but I would be cautious laying this number here with the Houston Texans.
In-game live all
In the
access.
NFC in terms of these wild cards and in terms of the playoff picture.
In-game live, prime time.
Rich, I don't know, man. This has just been one of those games that doesn't make a lick of sense here.
In-game live, overtime.
You want to give the over 3-1 on a pretty good team. It's hard not to take some flyers.
Football full circle.
Well, NFL officials stink. They always will stink, and they'll always ruin the game. You know, that's just part of what it is.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
And we are back, Ferrall, coast to coast here on a Wednesday. Carver High in for Scotty on SportsGrid and SportsGrid Radio. Great to have everybody with us here today. It is always good to have on Coast to Coast, and for the first time this new year, is our man, Coach James Young, as we get ready for a very big NBA slate tonight. We got a lot of good college games, too. Coach, how you doing, my man? Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, Carver High. Yes, we've gotten to the month of January, which means the regular season is rolling. But just as important, conference play has really kicked off this probably last weekend, I would say, as kids come back from a short, probably 3 or 4 day Christmas break. So we're in the full swing of basketball now.
And this is when it really starts, Coach. And I was saying this to Mike DeCourcy yesterday. Like, for us, we've been in it for 6 weeks. Maybe not fully entrenched, some of us, but we've been doing this every day. We know who's playing. We know who's been winning. For most people, Coach, now is when they start to really get into the college. Now is when it starts to really roll with all of those games, especially with conference play on right now. I think the same thing can be said for a lot of people. NBA after Christmas. You get a lot of NHL after New Year's Day. So there's definitely a lot of that goes into this. All right, Coach. So tonight there's actually a couple pretty good conference games. If we could dive into those in a moment. Number one, in the Big East, we have a double dip, if you would. You have Seton Hall and Providence tonight. You have Xavier and Nova tonight, and Big East has already been fun. We've had a couple of upsets. You saw Hall beat UConn already this year. So how about tonight, Coach, with these two Big East games? Ooh. We'll get Coach back in the moment there as we lost the audio on Coach. So we'll get Coach back in the mix for him here. So we said we got a couple of those games cooking as well. We will get into all of the NBA with him too. There you go, Coach. I got you, Coach. I'm hearing you now, my man. Coach, Big East tonight, baby. What do we got?
Hey, listen, audio, I don't know how this thing works sometimes. But listen, big game tonight. Do they still call it the dunk in Providence? Because they don't call it the dunk. All right, it's the dunk. And this will be an intriguing matchup tonight at 6:30 in FS1 between Seton Hall and Providence. A Seton Hall team that did pick off UConn. That was also when Don McClingan was out. But how can you go against Providence at the dunk? It don't matter if it's Kim English or if it's Ed Cooley. Playing at the dunk is one of the hardest places to play in that league. Just because of that, I'm going to take Providence minus the points. Kim English has done a great job with Providence. The main thing people need to know about Kim English is this. He got a lot of those kids to stay. And when you go into a new situation, Carver High, more times than not, kids leave. They did not do that for Kim English. He kept his kids. They're playing well. I love Seton Hall. I love my guys, Sheen Holloway and Ryan Whalen. Give me the Friars at home, minus the points.
And it's funny you brought up Ed Cooley. He's kind of finding out life ain't easy at Georgetown. I know it takes time, Coach. I know it takes time, and it's only his first year there. But it's tough. That's a tough place to rebuild. With the obviously, it's been a long time since the Thompson legacy, and when they were a powerhouse, obviously Ewing couldn't do it. Now Ed Cooley's going to try, and they're off to an 0-3 start in conference play so far. To Hoyas, not a good scene there. One other college, and then I'll get to the NBA, and that's this Clemson-Miami game tonight in the ACC. Miami, of course, lots of hype because they went to the Final Four last year. Clemson now ranked 16th. They're 11-1. Miami's 10-2. There's a good game tonight down in South Beach.
This is a really good game at South Beach, and I think this is a spot for Miami, a team that I think it was a sleeper team, to go to the Final Four with Ogier, obviously with Nigel Pack, with Poplar. They got the guys. They've been a little bit flighty here as of late. That loss to Colorado, folks. That loss to Colorado is not that bad, folks. Colorado could beat Arizona tomorrow night. I'm going to go ahead and say that right now. I just had Jeff Goodman on. My Betting Above the Rim podcast will be released tomorrow. Jeff Goodman likes Colorado to go to the Final Four. So that tells you how good he thinks that team is. Intriguing matchup here. I just think Miami may be the more battle-tested team. Big spot for Clemson, especially on the road. Give me Miami. And really quick, because I know you were asking me for the audio. Speaking of big spots, will the real Villanova Wildcats please stand up? Which team are you? And I'm going to say this. It sounds crazy. I'm going to take Villanova minus the points at home because it's at home. They're playing better. Most importantly, they're not playing a Big Five school. So when they play home teams with Big Five, it's a problem. I like Villanova because these teams that are transfer teams, Villanovas, the Arkansas, the teams that bring in a lot of transfers. Well, I was talking to Jeff about this. They need time. They're at a point now in conference play they could start to get rolling. That's why I like Villanova minus points versus Xavier tonight.
Yep, should be a good one, Coach. That's for sure. Let's go now over to the NBA side of things. We have a very big slate tonight, and you have a lot of teams playing back-to-backs that played last night as well. Why don't we start in the Garden, where the Bulls come in to play the Knicks. Bulls, I know the score doesn't kind of indicate it, Coach, because they made a little bit of a rally in the fourth with the Hacks out there, but they were getting run. I mean, they were down 30-plus to the Sixers last night in Philadelphia. Now tonight they play the new-look Knicks. They're getting 8.5, 220.5 the total.
Listen, to me, I haven't been on with you since the trade. I think the OG Anunoby trade is exactly what the Knicks needed, and I've been saying it for weeks, that the Knicks needed a 3-and-D guy. The two guys I named were DeAndre Hunter and OG Anunoby. So they got one of the two. And I think what you have in New York is this. You have now, with OG Anunoby and Dante DiVincenzo, two guys that on the corners can stretch the defense, and now Brunson's got driving lanes. Chicago, not competitive. I don't care. You're right. Don't tell me about the damn score last night. That game was a 30-some-odd point blowout in the first half. No Vucevic, no Levine. Kobe White left the game, was hurt. Let's see how much he plays tonight. Patrick Williams got hurt in the game last night. So let's see how much he plays tonight versus a New York Knicks team that has the 5th easiest schedule the rest of the way and the most home games left. I like the Knicks minus the points, and I like Jalen Brunson to go over his assist prop. Shop around. I think it's 7.5 at plus money and most books, including BetMGM. This is a spot where Brunson, 14 assists last game. He's going to benefit from DiVincenzo and OG Anunoby, but also because of Noah Manuel quickly and RJ Barrett, those are two guys that are iso ball players. Balls in his hands more to create catch and shoot opportunities. Look at Jalen Brunson's assist prop tonight, folks.
And I got to tell you, I did this the other night, Coach, and I think you got to stay with it. I think DiVincenzo is going to be the biggest guy that benefits from RJ and quickly not being on that team anymore in terms of offense. The other night, they hung a 12.5, blew by it. They're hanging 12.5 again tonight for DiVincenzo. Like, Coach, and look, they're going to adjust. This is the thing about NBA, NHL. You get into these props every night, in a nightly league. Sometimes it takes a little while for the books to start to move some of these guys' numbers. And I just feel like DiVincenzo is going to get a lot more shots. He's going to score a lot more points now with a couple guys who love to shoot not being there anymore. The Clippers, Coach, are in Phoenix tonight against the Suns. Now, the Suns have actually gotten going a little bit. They've won 4 games in a row, but no KD tonight, with the Clippers coming into town. So they're getting 4.5 at home, 232.5 total.
And this is the Clippers team that had lost a couple in a row, including that 145-108 loss to Boston, but has rattled off 3 straight games. Now, you're going to say, Charlotte, not a big win, but they took care of Memphis, who has been playing well since Ja been back, and they just beat, obviously, the Heat by 17 or so. No KD tonight. That is the big thing. Really quick, Carver High, and I'm going to take, obviously, the Clippers minus the points, even on the road. The other big thing is this. With the Knicks, look at 3-point props, DiVincenzo and Anunoby. Also, look at the points prop for Quentin Grimes. He becomes that guy that's going to have to score more with that second unit, ball in his hands. That's one of the reasons why they traded Barrett quickly, not just to get OG Anunoby, but they wanted to get more time to a guy like Quentin Grimes.
Thunder have been excellent, Coach. A win over the Celtics at home last night. They're going on the road to Atlanta, who's the worst team in the NBA against the spread. Dead worst. We had the numbers earlier. We showed them on the show. Line's only 1.5 tonight. Nobody's out for the Thunder that we know of at this point. Doesn't his line seem a little stinky here, Coach, with the Thunder minus 1.5 in Atlanta?
It does seem stinky, and I think that would be one way you would lean on it if you want to take the Thunder on the money line tonight. But I'm going to say this. I think the best play is the over. Because
me too.
Atlanta's defense is god-awful. It's amazing that Quinn Snyder got all this credit for a team in Utah that year after year kind of underachieved, but a good coach like Nate McMillan gets run out. Atlanta's a team to watch, folks. 13-19. Do they break that up? There's a lot of talk of DeJounte Murray. Knicks fans, that could be the next move as long as Leon Rose and Clutch Sports has their kumbaya moment, whatever the hell that means. But I think the over's in play because Atlanta's going to try and run Oklahoma City because Oklahoma City's on the back-to-back. Oklahoma City can run with anybody, and Atlanta plays no defense. 248.5. That seems like a 260 number for me tonight.
I'm with you. That's what jumped out to me, Coach. I'm not even going to waste my time with that 1.5 on each side. I'm just going to go right after the over. Speaking of overs, the Bucks and the Pacers, they've built themselves a nice little rivalry here over the first couple months of the season. Of course, Pacers beat them in Vegas at the in-season tournament. You had the Giannis game with the ball where he chased them in the tunnel. Now they're playing this home and home where the Pacers beat them in Milwaukee the other night. 257.5 again tonight, Coach.
Yeah, at some point, it's amazing. Like this is the rivalry that we thought we would never see that I think we actually need. Like we actually like two Midwest teams. I couldn't find Milwaukee on a map if you put it there for me. But I tell you this, they got a little rivalry going with the Pacers, and Tyrese Halliburton is starting to chirp his wings. You saw him chirping at Wally Zerbiak over the weekend when Wally Zerbiak made fun of him about who is he making an all-star team. Tyrese Halliburton can play, and folks, here's the big thing. They can't stop anybody Milwaukee on the perimeter. Brunson, Halliburton, athletic guard, problems. But I do think this is a spot for Milwaukee. This is a pride check game. Like, they're 3-1 against you. They've knocked you out in in-season tournament. Like, this is where, if you're Giannis, you're in a bad mood. You lost the last matchup. Give me the Bucks to cover. I think they're going to have it in for them tonight.
Last one, Coach, 30 seconds. The Lakers have been as inconsistent as it gets. They win 2, they lose 2, they win 1, they lose 1. They win now they got the Heat in town tonight. LeBron and AD, I guess they're going to play. They're questionable and probable every single night. No Butler again for the Heat, 5.5 the number.
I mean, with no Butler out, listen, you always count on Miami Heat to be in the game, but will the real Lakers pre-settle? Hey, Darvin Ham, I got a suggestion. Just tell every game is an in-season tournament game. You may go undefeated the rest of the year.
Coach, tremendous job as always. Let's cash some tickets tonight, and I will see you again soon. Coach James Young, Coast to Coast. We're back right after this.
quarterback at quarterback. We're going to lay some juice. We're going to have some dog prices, and we're going to go right in the middle.
Because I don't know what they're doing. To me, they're in a complete rebuild, Kev.
Go run, run, run. That's where overbackers on this 51.5 shot.
So right now, we saw a little bit more over money, but it's hovering right around.
The winner of this game will be the division
I
favorite.
don't care if they win because all we care about is the money, baby, the money.
Pro Football Today. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid. The Bostonian versus the Book.
56% is really good. Anything close to 60 is retirement level stuff. So there's way more people on the lower side of that. You have to learn how to manage that. This is a game of give and take. I mean, or come in quick and hit them and get out.
The Bostonian versus the Book.
We spent all offseason where the NFL said, hey, just so you guys know, running backs don't matter. If we then this year give the MVP to a running back, the irony. I am disappointed that they lost to FAU because secretly I don't really like this FAU team very much. I don't know. They're just not for me. And now they've completely legitimized the Owls.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
North Carolina, we've got new sports books operating for licenses, and a lot of news always coming out of there. One of the fresh sports betting states.
Well, they're a little behind the ball there, so I don't know if they'll be at the starting line in North Carolina. But yeah, a really interesting mix of applicants this early on so far.
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid. SportsGrid. Your 24/7 sports wagering network. Fantasy sports today.
They were saying there's no way he could not possibly do this. He won't hold out.
Pro League Soccer powered by Marca.
Scoring teams in the league. They have 80 goals so far.
College football today.
The Hawks team total in the first half is 0.5.
Pro football today.
Interesting props in this game, but I would be cautious laying this number here with the Houston Texans.
In-game live all access.
In the NFC in terms of these wild cards and in terms of the playoff picture.
In-game live, prime time.
Rich, I don't know, man. This has just been one of those games that doesn't make a lick of sense.
In-game live, overtime.
You want to give the over 3-1 on a pretty good team. It's hard not to take some flyers.
Football full circle.
Well, NFL officials stink. They always will stink, and they'll always ruin the game. That's just part of what it is.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
And we are back. Ferrall Coast to Coast here on a Wednesday. Carver High in for Scotty on SportsGrid and SportsGrid Radio. Great to have everybody with us here. Before we get out of here, we do have 2 NHL games tonight. Not like last night. Last night we had a full slate, and we had some fun. I would like to say there will be no Christmas cards next year for the Dallas Stars, who ruined a huge parlay for us by losing outright at home to the Montreal Canadiens last night. So that was very unfortunate. Because everything else came in for us, and Dallas left us at the doorstep getting blown out. I know they ended up rallying in the third, but not good enough for me. The Devils are in Washington tonight against the Capitals. We will start there. Devils minus 185 on the road. Caps plus $1.50. 6.5 is the total. Like the Devils tonight in that one. 185 is probably a little bit tough for me. Maybe the goal and a half. We will look into it. Capitals on a back-to-back. They played the Penguins last night. And Toronto is on a back-to-back as well. They were in L.A. last night against the Kings. They go across the freeway to the Duck Pond, where Anaheim will be there for them. You're getting the Leafs minus $1.50 at plus 110. That totals a flat 7, and that will go up, 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 and away for the Leafs and the Ducks tonight. So over 7 at plus 105 there. Leafs are minus 210 on the money line. So there you go. We even got the hockey in. As far as all these injury reports with the NFL that's happened really in the last hour that we haven't discussed, Waddle and Mostert didn't practice again for the Dolphins. Najee Harris didn't practice for the Steelers. Fitzpatrick was limited. Kamara didn't practice for the Saints. Remember, he left that game last week as well. Ryan Tannehill might start for the Titans because Will Levis was not at practice today as well. So there's a lot of injury stuff. Lamar not going to play. For the Ravens on Saturday, it will be Tyler Huntley, as the Steelers will try to stay alive in that one. All right, great job today by everybody. Lots of golf we did with Cam Stewart and Keith Stewart. We had Davis, we had Coach. Joe did a great job as always. Scotty back tomorrow on a Thursday, a Warren Sharp Thursday, as we get ready for Week 18 in the NFL. Game Time Decisions is next. I'll see you on Carver and Lisi tonight, 8 p.m. East on the radio side. Cash some tickets. See you tomorrow.